This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good night, Sarah Wolf. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me on your show. I'm definitely excited to be here.
Well, I am excited as well. Please do tell us what part of the world are you in right now?
I'm in Seattle, Washington.
All right. And which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this specific time in history?
Yeah, so I would say I'm here today because of my passion for and my involvement in sports, and particularly girls and women in sports. And so I'm an athlete, and I'm also a coach. And then I'm also the CEO and founder of Girl Boss Sports, which is based here in Seattle, Washington.
Ooh, sounds like fun. Tell me more, please.
Yeah, so Girl Boss Sports, we provide soccer lessons, though I will say that we're looking at possible kind of expansion opportunities into other geographical areas and also other sports. But for right now, we're focusing on soccer. And we provide these lessons for female athletes ages 4 to 24 plus, even adults. And we do all of this with female sports coaches. And kind of in addition to the sport-specific skill development that we do, like the dribbling and the shooting and the passing and all of the soccer skills, we also focus on things like leadership and communication and confidence. And then the other benefit of this is that we also have female role models and, mentors and all of this as part of the, having a female coach involved. And then I guess the secondary mission of Girl Boss Sports is that I'm working to increase the number of female sports coaches, just because there's way too few of us. And many even, other female soccer coaches that I've met have told me that I'm the first one other than them that they've met before. And, for example, here in the U.S., for soccer, there's only 21% of all soccer coaches are women. And globally, it's even worse. It's only 7% of all soccer coaches are women. And so, if you wanted to find out more about that, there's, books and research on that. One of them would be Women in Sports Coaching by Nicole Lavoie. That goes into kind of like why all of this is happening. And so that would definitely be a good resource to look more into it.
That's great. Now, who did you learn the skill of being a pioneer from?
Ooh, being a pioneer. I think it's probably I was born with it, but then I try and nurture that by continuously feeding my mind through things like, podcasts such as yours. And then also I read probably way too many books on like leadership and productivity. And basically I just have a really curious mindset and a growth mindset. And so I think that's kind of where that comes from.
Definitely being a pioneer has its challenges. You're the one that... You're definitely the person clearing the path, and that definitely takes some energy, right? And some fortitude. Why will you continue to repeat that skill nevertheless?
Yeah, I think I'll continue to repeat, being a pioneer and all the things that I'm doing, just because it's really important work, and I'm really excited to be helping the next generation of female athletes not only be better at whatever their sport is, and for now it's soccer, but also better at, the challenges that are going to be thrown at them in life. And some of, I can relate to those challenges because I myself was a female athlete, and I myself am still actually a female athlete. I didn't mention it earlier, but I'm actually also a professional tackle football player with the Seattle Majestics. And I've never done football before, so I'm a rookie, but trying this new thing out, and so I can really relate to what the athletes that we work with are going through as well.
That's wonderful. Congratulations on all you're doing. Definitely look forward to the next 5 years to just just circling around, see where you are, what you're doing. It'll be great fun to see that. Where's the best place for someone to connect with you?
Yeah, so my website is girlbosssports.com, just how it sounds, Girl Boss Sports. You can also find me on all of the social media things, Facebook, Instagram. I'm trying out Twitter, LinkedIn, all under the same name, Girl Boss Sports. And then if you want to follow along my own journey, you can find me on Instagram under CEO_Sarah Wolfer. That's SARAHWOLFER, just like the animal.
Love it. There's one guy, Albert Zbilly. It's actually spelled like Zbilly. I had a conversation with him. He does something like, in Trinidad we call soccer football, right? So, but he does something where like CEOs get together, corporate individuals get together, and there's like this entire World Cup, if you would, for the corporate world that they've formed. I think it would be really cool, given that women in the industry, women in the corporate space has increased tremendously as well. That would be fun to see as well, right? Like
that really would be fun. I'd love to join something like that.
or create it, right? Or create it. You're the pioneer. So I'll definitely connect both of you together so you can see where that takes you. But
that sounds great.
Yeah, well done, well done. Tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, please.
Yeah, so a couple things come to mind. One of them I already mentioned, which is just reading books all of the time. And then the other things that are really important to me are exercising regularly and getting a good amount of sleep every night.
How many hours?
At least 8.
All right.
Yep.
How does it feel when you're rested?
Yeah, I feel when I'm taking care of myself, I feel like I'm ready to take on the world. Like I can, take on any challenge that comes at me. And I also just feel like my best self when I'm well rested and taken care of.
Suggest to someone out there, other pioneers, other focused individuals, why they should ensure that they take care of themselves along the journey.
Yeah. So I think that sometimes, at least I've thought, or, I think others can think that when we're spending time on ourselves, it can be, selfish, or like we should be giving all of that time to whatever it is we're, doing. But in fact, I've learned that that's not true, and that the better we take care of ourselves, the more we have to actually give to others. And I guess another thing I didn't mention is that I'm also a licensed social worker. And one of the sayings that we have as social workers is that you can't pour from an empty cup. And so for me, that's just something that really sticks with me, even in what I'm doing now.
Amazing audience, you're hearing it live again from Sarah Wolfer again. She is the CEO of Girl Boss Sports. Check out at girlbossports.com. Sarah, let's switch gears for a moment. Let me invite you now into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Sarah, what is your earliest childhood memory?
Yeah. So I'm going to preface my story by saying I've always been a competitive person, if you haven't already noticed by all of the sports involvement. But in second or maybe third grade, probably around 7 years old, I was in, I had Mrs. Reese's class, and it was for math. And, we would do 100 math problems, whether it was addition or subtraction or multiplication or division. And we would just have whatever amount of time to do it that we wanted. And being the competitive person that I am, both with others and also with myself and improving, I convinced the teacher to make it a competition, and a timed competition. And we had a leaderboard, and we got down to doing, we had all of the kids doing 100 math problems in 5 minutes. And then we slowly went further and further, quicker and quicker. And I actually got down to doing it all in 1 minute, 100 math problems. And so that was one of the ones that really sticks with me to this day.
That's wonderful. Tell me, why do you think that memory is so clear?
I think probably just because it's really been fresh in my mind recently, because I've been thinking a lot about, like, why am I so into goal setting and, being competitive and all of the things about who I am now. And so I've been reflecting on that a lot, and, was thinking about when is the earliest time I remember this being something about me. And so that was one of the ones that came up.
How do you see that memory connecting to who you are today?
Yeah, I think just what I was just talking about is, like, I'm still so big on, setting goals and achieving them and, bringing my best to whatever it is I'm doing. So I think it still is a big part of who I am.
Can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind to that memory?
I would love to hear that, yeah.
Most recently, I'm reading a book by a guy called Greg Jameson, the influencer. Effect, I think is the name of it. And, he was expressing that people that set goals will have challenges, because setting goals puts you in a space where you're always attempting to do what's good enough to be better. But while setting goals are good, or is good, setting goals is whichever it is, right? It's really good to have a system. So, like, even with what you're doing back in school, like, there's a system, right? Like, you created, there are the goals, but then there's a system that helps the individual to learn better, to become faster at learning. So yes, the goal is there, and that definitely is great. It challenges you, you get it done. But having a system where the end result, just like you did, have the child or the person learn better faster, is always great to attach to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like, the goal is great, but what's really important is what action steps are we going to take to achieve that goal. So I can't just have this goal of, whether it's getting in shape and then not ever doing anything, just thinking about, yeah, I really have this wonderful goal of getting in better shape, but never actually having the actions of like going to the gym. And even beyond that, for me, it's like, if I want to go to the gym the next morning, then I actually need to make sure I'm going to bed at a decent time the night before. And so when I have a goal of like right now becoming a better athlete, I have these action steps that I have to do, and that's really what I measure and I track is, am I following through on my action steps needed? That's kind of what it reminded me of when you were talking.
The systemization of what's necessary to create the goals is even more important than just going after the goal. Love it. Well done.
Exactly.
Boom. All right, if we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
Yeah. It was the Backstreet Boys, the song Get Down.
Love it.
Yeah.
I just moved my body right there. Yeah. All right, my friend. Well, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Sarah?
I am ready.
I'm sure you're ready. I'm like, I see her competitiveness through the screen. It's like she's ready. Yeah. Please do tell me. I've lost my train of thoughts. Here we go. Ooh. What do I usually ask now, Sarah?
Am I married?
Have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
It was close. Yes. The coaches at Girl Boss Sports are the ones that I'm passing my skills on to.
Are you married?
Yes, I am. I actually just got married last July, and so I'm still a newlywed.
Congratulations. Do you have children?
No, don't have children.
Do you believe in God?
I believe that there is a higher power, but not really in organized religion.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
I have several inner circles of friends, whether it's work friends or sports friends or my accountability friends. I have lots of different groups of friends.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
Yes, definitely.
What about screen time, the phone and the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
It is definitely more than 8.
Sarah, if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, Sarah Wolfer, what would you say that is?
Yeah, so I was thinking about what are some important quotes in my life, and so this isn't one that I wrote. This is from Nelson Mandela, actually, but the quote is, "Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it." And for me, one of my biggest values, two of my biggest values are leadership and courage. And so even when I'm scared, still stepping into that out of my comfort zone. And usually when I'm scared, it means I'm about to do something really big and important, and so just really leaning into that.
Love it, Sarah Wolfer. This was such a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Especially if there's any, like girls or women listening to this, that's obviously where my heart is at. I just want to say that you can do it, whatever it is that, you've been dreaming about or thinking about or hoping for, you can do it. And that there's really two things that I think it comes down to. One of those is having the right mindset and believing in yourself. And then the other one is having a good support system. Because as the saying goes, you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with. I can't remember who said that, but so like I just want to leave you with that question is, do you want to become like those 5 people that are in your own life?
Jim Rohn.
Jim Rohn. Okay, I'll remember that. Thank you.
You're good. Sarah Wolfer, thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been a pleasure speaking to you and your audience.
Definitely a pleasure I treasure.
This segment has been brought to you by Amazel Enterprise.